Tonight, did the Secret Service expose the lies told by Loretta Lynch regarding the meeting between her and Bill Clinton on that tarmac? Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. For those of you who don't know, every one of these episodes starts the exact same way. I start by thanking each and every one of the subscribers because you guys are what make this channel possible, and you guys help me out so much by just clicking that button. If you have not hit that button yet, please come here to this landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way, as soon as these videos get posted, you'll be notified because as soon as information is made available to me, I make it available to you. Now, the latest Q post, if you guys want to get caught up to where we are at as of right now, I encourage you to come back here to this landing page, watch this last video. It's got so much insightful information about the 40,000 sealed indictments, what's been going on since Q started posting. I mean, there's a code, and the team of 470 investigators, if you will, that are working for John Huber and Inspector Horowitz from the Inspector General. So that is a big deal. So if you guys want to get caught up on that, just come back here, watch this video. And if you guys are scratching your head going, what's QAnon? Watch this video. It's pinned here on the main page when you come to Just Informed Talk on YouTube. And you can watch this video. And even if you know what QAnon is and you want to get more information about how to, find the posts, how to get, involved or whatever, you'll see how to do that in this video. It makes it pretty easy and it explains it pretty well. So if you guys want to get that info, come here to this landing page. Make sure you check out these last few videos and click the subscribe button while you're there. But we're going to start here with this. It's first off, Q is posting. And as I said, if you want to get caught up to these posts, go watch that last video. But he's saying, thank you, United States Secret Service. And it gives a link to theblaze.com. And this article from theblaze.com is actually pretty incredible. It's talking about there was a stunning revelation buried deep in the Inspector General's report that blows hole in Lynch-Clinton tarmac meeting narrative. So I'll summarize this article. If you guys want to go find it, obviously you can go to blaze.com and look up the stunning revelation buried deep in IG report. You guys probably find that article very quickly. It's a new one that's just been posted 8 hours ago. So, I'll break this. I read through the article. It's really a great article, well written. But what it says is that here's the simple breakdown. Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch met at an airport in Arizona, I believe, and that meeting was not by chance. But they've publicly stated that meeting was completely by chance, that they just happened to notice that one another was at the airport at the same time and decided to get together and have a friendly conversation about golf and their family. That's the official story. But according to a deeply buried revelation inside of the Inspector General's report that was just released, there's actually a report by the Secret Service that would be throwing a wrench directly into the narrative that's being drawn by Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton. That wrench would be that the Secret Service has reportedly stated on the record that they were, or they had previous knowledge of the meeting because they had to coordinate their security. So, that being said, that means that the United States Secret Service knew that the acting Attorney General was going to go meet with the former President of the United States, whose wife was under investigation by the Department of Justice for allegedly stealing and storing classified storing, not stealing. Heaven forbid we call it what it is. But storing classified information on private servers that basically circumvented the, freedom of information laws and things that make public record a federal law if you try to avoid keeping things on the public record. So, unfortunately, this all has blown up in their face, it would seem, because Loretta Lynch is being called out by her, I believe, Secret Service detail in this note, or her security detail. And the Secret Service had coordinated, or her security detail and the Secret Service of Bill Clinton had coordinated with her to set up this meeting. Now, who knows how far in advance it was? The report here on the Blaze doesn't go into that, but it could have been anywhere from them calling an hour ahead and saying, we're flying to this airport, let's meet up. Or it could all the way go back to, a week before saying, hey, you're going to be in that airport that day, or you're doing that in this part of the country, let's meet here where nobody's going to be able to see it. And the alleged reports coming out of this meeting, for those of you who don't know why the Lynch Clinton tarmac meeting is so important, as I've described before, it was the acting attorney general going for a private meeting with the husband of a woman who was under investigation by the Department of Justice, obviously showing a very, very, there's a possibility of a incredible bias if they were meeting to discuss that case, right? And the alleged reports out of that meeting are suggesting that things were offered, like Loretta Lynch was offered, allegedly, this is all conjecture, it's not been verified yet, but she was offered allegedly from Bill Clinton a position on the Supreme Court in exchange for clearing his wife, Hillary Clinton, who could possibly have become the next president of the United States at that time. And most of them believed it would happen. So therefore, that's why this is important to look at. And Q is telling us, thank you, United States Secret Service, because their information mentioned in probably a footnote of the IG report has actually turned out to be completely counter to the narrative that has been described by Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton. They say it's a chance encounter, that there was no coordination to it, and that there was it was just a random chance they happened to see each other, and that has turned out to be completely untrue. So, hey, take that with a grain of salt, I guess, but, at least we're trying here to tell the truth, and not many others are. So, the next one is interesting, because we talk about in this last video, if you guys want to go back and watch it, we talk about, and a few other videos, we're talking about like Antifa. We're talking about what happened in Portland, how these people were attacked. They were just going for a prayer march. And yeah, a lot of them are patriots. A lot of them are conservatives. Some of them are kind of loony, but there's always going to be loonies. I mean, what are you going to say? That's America, right? That's what makes America great, is that people have differing opinions and we have great conversations and discussions about how we disagree, right? But Antifa went and they threw their little temper tantrum and got the protest shut down, basically, or got the march shut down, the prayer march permit revoked, and then it was declared a riot by the police. And I think a lot of didn't even, as far as the last time I read this article, not many arrests have been made in regard to people associated with the actual protests. Moreoverly, there were people who were just randomly picked up through the protests that already had outstanding warrants and other things. But this story in and of itself was talking about how, I basically went in the fact that it's crazy. You look at these people, that they have these masks on, they look like terrorists, they do these awful things to people who are just trying to exercise their free speech. And it's completely, it's crazy to watch people who call themselves anti-fascists act like fascists in the streets. But then something really clicked when Q posted this next one, and I think it speaks exactly to what that is. It says, there will be no civil war. Coordinated MSM hysteria designed to instill fear, change narrative. North Korea is not advancing their weapons program. Coordinated mainstream media designed to instill fear, change narrative. Fake news Q. Why is that important? Well, I want to tell you why it's important, because that speaks to everything that I was speaking to in the last video. See, first of all, I if you guys watched that last video, or if you haven't, to let you know, what I said is basically, we can't stoop to their level. In response to this, we can't look to the most extreme answer. We have to look to the most positive answer for a good outcome between everyone involved. We're all Americans. We all want the best for our country. Even if these people are misguided and they're fighting for what they think is this righteous cause to strike down fascism in our country that they see, or Nazism, as they like to call it a lot, they can do that civilly. There's discourse. There's channels. Nobody's trying to shut down their free speech. Nobody's trying to put them, out. I mean, I would gladly sit down and have a debate with anyone. And I may be proven wrong in certain areas, and I may be proven right in certain areas. And I accept that. That's a part of having humility. That's part of being humble. But these people have no humility. The people that get out there, they're overly zealous. They think that everything they do and say is correct, or everything they've heard is correct. And that's where this breakdown in discourse happens. Because you have people like us, people here on the channel, we're critical thinkers. We take the issues and we examine them. We try to examine as many facts as we can, and then we use those facts to make intelligent, informed decisions. The problem with most of the people who coded these kind of demonstrations and wear those masks and march with Antifa is not necessarily that they're inherently evil. It's just that they've been misguided and they're culturally unable to understand that our country is based on healthy political debate, healthy discourse. There's nothing unhealthy about me and somebody who I disagree with sitting down and having a conversation about what and why we disagree on things, or you know what I mean. So what they want to do though is they want to shut down our speech. They want to call it hate speech. They want to, first of all, when you try to shut down any speech, whether it's hate speech or otherwise, you're ultimately serving this basically the seeds. You're sowing the seeds of a dictatorship. You're sowing the seeds of a fascist regime. You're sowing the seeds of anarchy, really. And some of them want to see it burn, and that's fine. You know, they're anarchists and they see it and they say, I want to see it burn down. That's such a small percentage. I think that's what Q wants us to remember, is that it's designed to instill fear. And that what we talked about in the previous post, where Q basically says, here's what Q says. I mean, talking about Antifa, saying, form Antifa, violent group designed to instill fear in free speech. That's what they want. They want to promote riots. They want to promote fascism. Not only for the fact that it's sexy in the advertising sense and it sells, but for the other more sinister purpose of undermining our country. See, because I think what most people don't understand is that because we are the greatest country in the world, we are susceptible to a lot of underhanded tactics that are meant to destabilize our culture and to pit us against each other. Because what is the best way to conquer your enemy is other than to divide them? It's divide and conquer as a strategy. So that's what's happening. And then if you look at a story like, here, you have our own media here in the country. What purpose for the good could this media story that has come out serve? I mean, I'm legitimately asking, because let's examine this story for a second. This is a story out of the Washington Post, right, that claims that democracy dies in darkness. Okay, well, we are a republic, so I don't know what that would have to do with anything. But President Trump's exaggerated claims about the North Korea deal. And this whole thing just goes through how there's all the stuff that President Trump has said about North Korea is like overstated, and that there's little truth or evidence to back up some of his claims. And it's my question is this, okay? My simple question is, what purpose does this serve anyone? I mean, for you who have written this, I'm assuming that Salvador Rizzo and Meg Kelly are American citizens, right? And I think they've moved the 4 a.m. talking points up to 3 a.m. But for these people who assumedly are people in our country, for what purpose would you write this story? I mean, do you want to see a nuclear war with North Korea? Are you that blind to the reality of the situation that you think it's okay to just go out and say, okay, our president, our leader, our executive, the person we've hired or elected to go and negotiate on our behalf, do you want to undermine him at every step in his foreign negotiations? Do you think that's the right path? Do you think that's the right choice? I mean, I only ask this question because it's become more and more obvious as I've done the research for many months now, to see that the media only has one intention. I mean, years, to be quite frank. I've been studying this for quite a long time. And the media has their own agenda. And it's literally, at some times, when you read articles like this, you think it could be very much that they are anti-America. They're anti-peace. They're anti-prosperity of the American people. They have global assets controlling them. They have global people who own the assets in the companies, or own the companies themselves, and want to share a narrative, want to portray a narrative that will help them. And it becomes an exercise in futility to kind of fight with it because it's so prevalent, but you have to keep pointing it out because what I mean, like I've said, what purpose does this story serve other than to undermine the negotiations between our president with a foreign country who has nuclear weapons and has hundreds of thousands of missiles pointed at South Korea's capital city? What purpose does this article serve? I mean, I hate to be so repetitive, but it only seems like repetition is what gets through to these people, because that's how they're used to being trained. Um, but it all goes to the same story here. It's all fake news. It's all meant to undermine President Trump, and that's what it is. I mean, that's the simple fact. Now, the next one we're going to cover briefly here. It's a great post by Ben Garrison. This guy, I love him. Okay, I've tweeted out a bunch of his cartoons. I think he's hilarious, thoughtful, thought-provoking. I've seen him on different radio shows and internet shows. I saw him, like the last time I saw him was over on InfoWars with Alex Jones. But this is great, okay? And I'll start by just reading Q's message. Thank you, Ben. We rather enjoyed this one. Where we go one, we go all Q. Now, we rather enjoyed this one. One of the Anons pointed out, that sounds very Trumpian, like something President Trump would say. So that's cool if that is a little quote from Trump or President Trump or somebody near him who they talk that way to each other. You know how when you're, I always find this funny. When you're around somebody for a while, you know, if you're just socially friends and you're hanging out a lot, you may take up some of their mannerisms. It's a natural thing we humans do. It's a very normal thing. But it's funny to hear that because it's really cool. It says, we rather enjoyed this one. Now let's examine this in more detail. Okay, so much to point out here. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to really break it down because I think it's really cool. First, you have free speech down here in a social media jail cell, which I couldn't agree with more, given all the things I've gone through here on this channel, time and time again. You know, it never fails, but thankfully everything's kind of cleared up. Ever since Q went and visited Google, haven't really had any problems with YouTube. Isn't that funny? I think that is funny. That to me makes some sense. But there's so much here. Okay, so you have Uncle Sam, and this is one of those. This is a play on MC Escher's Relativity, which is just stairs going in different directions. It's kind of like an art thing. I'm not a big art guy, so I'm not going to give you a whole breakdown on what MC Escher's Relativity means, but this is cool because it has so much in it. You have, I mean, I'm just going to kind of start, I guess, from this corner and work my way around because there's so much. First, you have the Clinton closet with money bags and skulls. Well, that says a lot. Right? And then you have, like I said, you have social media, free speech in a social media cell. Then you have Bernie Sanders here screaming, our democracy, free stuff. We all know what socialism ends in. Then you have a MAGA person up here who's screaming, freedom, our republic. And then there's the MSM, which is portrayed by the rat, that says never Trump. We all know that. And then there's like kind of a heat map for the electoral or for the electorate in the United States, where it has the coasts in blue, and then I guess this is New Mexico and Colorado in blue there, and a few other states. I think that's Illinois and Minnesota, but that's kind of cool. And then it has the Capitol building with a crack through it, so it's kind of like broken. Then you have a woman symbol yelling at a male symbol, Me Too, as in the hashtag Me Too movement. And this is from like May 14th, 2018. So this didn't just come out, but Q saying that they like it. Then you have the Democrats and Republicans, and this is their big battle that they're waging openly, and the open borders protect borders, right? You have the Statue of Liberty going, what? And I don't mean to break this down, but it's great. I actually am enjoying this. You have the Soros snake right here. How great is that? Soros, the snake. Yes, he is. And he's undermining everything, you can tell. Then you have you-know-who, our good friend HRC, in one of her famous slips. Russia, 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 she yells as she tumbles down the stairs. Then you have in this corner surveillance, the surveillance state of the country. You know, we're all under surveillance all the time. Then you have what would appear to be an upside down flag with a bunch of symbols around the stars here, probably representing more of a distress call that we're in a time of distress right now. You have a Trump sign here going up the stairs with or a Trump flag here being held by a MAGA supporter who's looking at the SJW safe space with a big SJW baby screaming Nazi at him. And of course, you have here one of my favorite. This is like my favorite part of the whole picture, where President Trump is sitting across from what would presumably represent the globalists, playing a game of 4D chess straight out of Star Trek. Gotta love that. And then, of course, you have your good friend here, Michael Bolton, with the tanks of war. And you have, I think that's Ron Paul, I'm guessing, saying no war. And then you have, of course, what Q wanted to point our attention to the whole time is this noose that's shaped like a Q and says ANON in the middle. And we all know who that is. And guess who they are standing in direct opposition to? The pyramid, the all-seeing eye. So guys, look, that is the breakdown of it. But I mean, it's great, right? Who in the world doesn't think that's awesome? And there's like a little weed plant here too, which is kind of funny and oddly placed, but didn't cover that, but it's there. And so look at that. That's crazy. And it says, thank you, Ben. We rather enjoyed this one. Where we go when we go all. And that's right. Where we go when we go all. From here until we can't go anymore, because the thing is, we're all here to work together. We're not here to cast dispersion. We're not here to really do anything other than expose the truth. And of course, I'm an opinionated person. I'll have opinions on things, but let's be quite frank. When exposing this kind of truth, things are going to come up that are disturbing and unsettling. So that's the way it is. But to talk more about our republic, I want to cover this story that's just crazy. So first, let's listen to Maxine Waters here. So this is her on AM Joy, right? And I want to give a shout out to the American Priority Conference. Before we go any further, come check them out at Priority Conf, or you can find them at AmericanPriority.com. And if you guys want to come see me, I'm going to be speaking on a panel there at the American Priority Conference on September 6th through September 8th. And there's going to be so many great people there, like Roger Stone, Ann Coulter, Jack Posobiec, Mike Cernovich. It's going to be a great time. And I'm just really stoked to be a part of it. But I have a great code for you guys I'm going to share with you. So this is kind of like an insider thing. The code, if you want to get a discount for a ticket to this conference, if you're going to be in the Washington, D.C. area between September 6th and September 8th, and you want to attend this conference, you're going to go ahead and go to AmericanPriority.com/attend. And when you go to checkout, you enter the coupon code, and you guys write this down if you want to hear it. WWG1WGA. So WWG, the number 1, WGA. As in where we go on, we go all. And that's the coupon code if you want to get a good discount on your ticket. Go check that out. But before we get further into that, they just posted, Alex Phillips and Alexander, the two running the conference. They run this page, I'm assuming, and they put up this great post, right? It explains what who, our favorite representative, Auntie Maxine Waters from good old Southern California. I don't know what that has to do with being an auntie, but there you go. And I don't even know that she's from there, actually, but this is great. Let's first hear her talk about how she's been targeted unfairly by President Trump. And then we're going to listen to, after this, how she calls for the open targeting of anyone associated with the Trump administration so that they are not allowed to exist in the public sphere or to interact in the public sphere. Let's watch this stuff. This is crazy. You can't make this up. So first, let's hear her tell us about how she's been the victim of this attack by the president.
Let him call me whatever he wants to call me. Let him say whatever he wants to say. He will not stop me. He cannot cause me to shut down. That's what they would like to do. They want me to run away. They want me to stop talking. They want me to be quiet. But he can't do that to me. I won't stand for it.
And not only did you have that, the right came after you, but you had even the leadership of the Democratic Party, Nancy Pelosi, issuing a statement criticizing you. And this is Chuck Schumer, the Democratic leader of the Senate, on Monday.
I strongly disagree with those who advocate harassing folks if they don't agree with you. If you disagree with a politician, organize your fellow citizens to action and vote them out of office. But no one should call for the harassment of political opponents. That's not right. That's not American.
Were you surprised to have the leadership of your own party come out and essentially call you un-American?
Well, I was surprised that Chuck Schumer, reached into the other house to do that. I've not quite seen that done before, but one of the things I recognize being an elected official is in the final analysis, leadership like Chuck Schumer's will do anything that they think is necessary to protect their leadership. And
Wow, she was quick to sell her party down the river as soon as they called her out for what she is, which is, in my opinion, inciting violence. And it's crazy because, I'm not saying that, hyperbolically. This is true. We can watch the video. I'm going to play the video for you here, and we're going to see exactly what she said. But I've told you in many videos before this that what she's done satisfies two of the subsets required to make an assertion that somebody has committed an act of domestic terrorism. There's three subsections to the law regarding what constitutes domestic terrorism. And if you examine them, she basically categorically fills two of them by what she says here in this video. But then not only that, it goes even further. If you could make the connection, and I'm not saying that I can, because I've seen people lose their jobs for saying, oh, President Trump is responsible for this nut job who went and shot up a newspaper. It's awful. It's disgusting. Nobody condones that ever. That's evil. That's sick. That's satanic. Nobody should ever do that. But if you could make the connection between this, right, and what happened there, you could almost fill all three of those parameters or you could basically fill all three of the parameters to call it actual domestic terrorism. But I'm not going to go there because that's not how my mind works. My mind works is that in the way that I feel bad for this person because she believes the things that she's saying, or she's just so, out there that she has to say this. So let's listen to her again. And we're going to talk about how it's so funny to hear her claim that she's being targeted by the president when she says things like this politically.
And so let's stay the course. Let's make sure we show up wherever we have to show up. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere. We've got to get the children connected.
What she said there was, if you see anybody from that administration, you go and you confront them and you tell them that they're not welcome anywhere, anytime. That's scary, man. That's scary. Okay? That is, to me, how the fascists began in Nazi Germany. That is, to me, how Jim Crow got its traction in the South during segregation. These are the kind of dangerous pieces of rhetoric that we need to really combat. Because you don't hear me, like I've said before, coming on here and telling you to go track down Maxine Waters, because that's inappropriate. We can have a civil discourse and we can have a political debate and we can have different sides to the coin that we argue. But what we can't have is where there's politically targeted groups for harassment that could lead to bigger things. I mean, if a group of people surrounded me and my family, and I'm out in the street, and it was on the orders of one of these loony lefties, and they spread lies and disinformation, misinformation about me, and these people think I'm a literal Nazi and they want to hurt me and my family, I will protect myself, but only for the pure sense of that's our God-given right. We can't deny that. I mean, we have the right to self-defense, right? And people, if they saw me on the street, they would, I would pray that nobody would ever want to do that. It's bad enough that you have people like Maxine Waters pushing that on others like Sarah Sanders, who's, in my opinion, a great person. I love Mike Huckabee and I love Sarah Sanders. I think they're both great people. That's just my personal opinion. But guys, look, this has got to stop. And her coming on here and saying that she's the victim and that President Trump's bullying her, basically. No. It's all just a game. They play this little rhetorical game, and it doesn't serve any purpose other than to confuse the public and to misdirect them into to putting their anger in places it doesn't belong. But that's basically it for everything that we've covered here. I hope we covered it all fairly well. Thank you all for watching. If you're looking for a way to support the channel, there's a few ways to do it. The best way to do it is free. Makes a huge difference, and it's like throwing me a buck, costs you nothing. Come here to this landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way, as soon as these videos get posted, you'll be notified. Second best way to help out the channel is to scroll down and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights in the comments, because like I say, at the end of each one of these videos, we do our best to have a QAnon research board. I mean, to the extent that we have a great conversation, we talk about not just the Q posts, but the news and how it all correlates and what is going on in the world that the mainstream media won't cover. That's really what this is in its entirety. And another way to help out is to come over here to twitter.com and look me up as Justin_formed, at Justin_formed, and come give me a follow. It's going to make a big difference, guys, if you come over here and follow me on Twitter. Also, if you're looking to help out financially, there's a couple ways you can do it. The first way is I have this GoFundMe set up, and it's important because I'm working with some of the best. You guys are going to be like, your socks are going to be blown off when you see this website that I'm trying to build, because I've had people reach out to me who are incredibly smart and gifted designers, and we're going to make an incredible website. I promise you that, but we need your help to support it. So come here to GoFundMe. You can find this on my Twitter page at Justin_formed, or you can go to GoFundMe.com/JustinFormedTalk, and you can donate as you will. But we're almost at our goal there. Once we hit that goal, I'm definitely going to be able to get this website up and going, but right now everything's still in the works, so it's still a work in progress. But if you guys want to, please come over here and follow me on Twitter at Justin_formed. That helps out the channel big time. Now, another way to help out financially is to come over here on Patreon, patreon.com. You can search Justin Formed Talk. You come here to this landing page, click this button to become a patron, check out my rewards and goals. I can tell you right now, this is kind of lifeblood. This is how I make sure that I can always do this no matter what, because I'll always be able to afford to devote all my time to working on this stuff. I do 24/7, 365 news, analysis, and coverage for you guys, because you guys are what make this channel possible, and I work for you guys. So if you guys want to help donate to make sure I can eat and my family can eat, that's great. Come over here to patreon.com, and you can make your monthly donation, which is incredible. So thank you in advance to everybody who comes and checks that out. Now, before we go, the last thing is very important. It's always the most important thing, actually. It's talking about God and why God's important and how he plays into these equations of discussing Q and discussing morality and ethics and the law, but it all comes back to God. I think a lot of people get lost in what's going on here. They want to use it as an excuse to blame the evildoers, to blame the people who have committed these acts, these atrocities against our country, for a lot of the stuff that's going on inside of our country. And yes, a lot of the blame goes to them. But we have to always take responsibility for ourselves. And in that sense, we have to understand that God is protecting us from those who are committing evil. And that's what makes it possible. See, I think a lot of people get overwhelmed because they want to just go and that's the thing. We've been pitted into this adversarial position where it's like Antifa is being blown up by the mainstream media to make us all go crazy and want to attack them, or the threat of what's going on, the corruption in the FBI is being blown up, or the threat of nuclear war from North Korea is being blown up by the mainstream media. They do all of this stuff purposefully in order to scare you, because when they can get you scared enough, they can get you to give up your rights. And that's what I think Q's trying to fight. I think we're all trying to fight collectively, is we don't want to be scared anymore. We want to be encouraged. We want to have that love of God in our hearts. We want to have that inspiration, that hope, the joy. Those things are what are most important, and they get lost the more we get into this fear mode. And Psalm 64, this piece of scripture I'm going to share with you, says it better than I could ever say it. But it explains how the Lord protects us from evildoers. And I want you guys to listen carefully, because I think these words can resonate inside your own hearts and keep you in that faith and understanding that God is here to protect you. So, Psalm 64 says, God, hear my voice when I complain. Protect my life from the terror of my enemy. Hide me from the scheming of the wicked, from the mob of evildoers who sharpen their tongues like swords and aim bitter words like arrows, shooting from concealed places at the innocent. They shoot at him suddenly and are not afraid. They encourage each other in an evil plan. They talk about hiding traps and say, who will see them? They devise crimes and say, we have perfected a secret plan. The inner man and the heart are mysterious, but God will shoot them with arrows. Suddenly, they will be wounded. They will be made to stumble. Their own tongues work against them. All who see them will shake their heads. Then everyone will fear and will tell about God's work, and they will understand what he has done. The righteous rejoice in the Lord and take refuge in him. All the upright in heart offer praise. Guys, that's the protection that God has for you. And it's everlasting. It's eternal. It is based in the concrete foundation that Jesus Christ gave his life for us. And God gave the life of his only son for us. And that story is not, it's not just a story. It's meant as inspiration. It's meant to show you that as humans, we can make sacrifices and we can make the world a better place. But we can't know what the consequences of those sacrifices will be. Even the purest at heart are going to go through trials where evildoers set plans against them. But we have to trust that in those times that God will protect us. Because without God, our existence is meaningless. And with God, our existence is endless and boundless, and we can do anything through God. And that is the message, I think, that's lost on a lot of people today. People want to choose to be atheists. What purpose does that serve? It's self-defeating. You're telling yourself there's nothing to live for other than life itself. And existence without a greater meaning is not really existence. Existence without greater meaning is just being there. There's nothing more to it. And that's why so many men, especially in our society, are lost. And I hate to say it, I'm not discounting women, but I think there is something to be said for having strong men, and not just strong men, but having men who are influenced by God. And women. I mean, I'm not going to just say it's one way, and it's completely that men without men, nothing can happen. Because it does take both men and women. But I guess I would say it more accurately, that we need stronger men and women of God. And this process takes time. We've been culturally attacked. We've been brainwashed. We've been the victim of a very complex psychological warfare that's been going on for decades. And even I myself am not perfect. You know, there was a point where I was just as brainwashed back in college, younger man going through college. But like Winston Churchill says, if you're not a liberal when you're young, you don't have a heart. And if you're still liberal when you're old, you don't have a brain. So just remember, in closing, God loves you. Everything that we've done here is for the betterment of our country. I mean, people want to call us conspiracy theorists. They want to call us these alt-right nuts and that we're all just a bunch of Nazis, apparently. But the reality is that we're just very sensible, rational, logical people who are asking questions and are trying to get answers, especially because we're being told that there's a lot more going on beneath the surface than is being presented to us publicly. And there are evildoers who are trying to commit harm against us that we don't know about. And those that want to commit those acts of evil, those who are so rushed to destroy our ability to have free speech, free thought, and all of that, they need to take a good, long, hard look in the mirror and ask themselves, what happens when this comes back around on me? Because at this point, as God says, he will protect us from the evildoers, and they will scheme against us, and they will do all their plots to try to undermine us and subvert us. But if we put our ultimate faith in God and we love one another, which is important, we will be successful. We'll overcome this. This will not end in a civil war. It won't end in anything like that. What it will end in is hopefully a positive outcome where we all come together and say, look, we've agreed these things are wrong and we're going to move forward from there. But that's my, naive hope for our country. And I hope it's not naive. I hope it's very justifiable, because I absolutely love this country and I want the best for it. And I love the world. I love that there are so many people from around the world who are involved in this, that it's not just about the United States. It's about every other country that's here and watching. Whatever country you're from. I've had people write me from dozens of countries around the world. And the fact that you guys are here with us means that we're on to something. It's good versus evil. It's right versus wrong. It's a pretty basic premise for human existence, for us to want good to prevail over evil and right to be taken instead of wrong. So I thank you all for watching. That's pretty much it for this episode. Again, if you have not hit that subscribe button, it's the best way to help out this channel. Come here. Now's a great time. Click the big red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when these videos get posted. But if you don't take anything else away from this episode, just remember that God loves you and that God will protect you. And that in everything that we do, we have God's protection as long as we seek it and ask him for it through prayer, through meditation, through our acts, and through our how we live our life. So remember that, and remember that you're only a prayer away from opening up that relationship. It's not that difficult, and God is there for you. The sacrifice has already been made by Jesus on the cross for you. So the simplest thing to do is open up that dialogue, read the Bible, go to church. You'll find it can make your life amazing. So that's going to be it for me. I want to say thank you all for watching. There's going to be a new Q post, I'm sure, so you guys will see me again. But even if there aren't, I'm always going to be here reporting on the news that the mainstream media won't cover. So thank you again for watching. This has been Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.